It's Monday, March 15. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Carol Francis. 14,400 doses of COVID-19 vaccines Jamaica procured under the COVAX facility are scheduled to arrive in the island today, Monday, March 15.
This will represent the first installment of a total allocated 124,800 doses to be received through COVAX. The remaining allocations are to be delivered by May 2021. I know persons are asking why the shifting dates. We don't determine the dates. We have paid into a pool. That pool is managed, and we are told when the vaccines are available. We're given numbers. We quote and make those numbers available. The truth is we have had a revision of those numbers, but it has not been up to us. It really is up to the program we have bought into, and they have given information around production issues, production scheduling, and there are other issues, as you know, in terms of some of these manufacturers having to commit to other parts of the world based on government policies that have shifted and so on.
Jamaica joined the COVAX facility as part of a strategic approach to ensure access to safe vaccines at a reduced cost. Through the facility, Jamaica has been able to negotiate a dosage price of $10.55 US, as opposed to the average price of $35 US. Another 1.8 million doses of vaccines will reportedly be supplied to Jamaica in April under the African Medical Supply Platform.
That, as I understand it, is still on track. If anything changes, we will let you know. And the mandate remains to identify and source some 4 million doses of vaccine by March 2022. And the target there is to inoculate some 65% of the Jamaican population.
Within the last week, the island recorded its highest daily counts of new COVID-19 cases as well as deaths. Here is the latest clinical management summary from the Health and Wellness Ministry.
In the summary for Sunday, March 14, 2021, 7 new COVID-19 deaths were recorded. This moves the island's death toll to 492. 806 new COVID-19 cases were also reported. Of the 31,305 overall case count, 15,325 are active. Here is the parish breakdown. St. Catherine returned 205 positives, while Kingston and St. Andrew had 150 and St. James 73. Clarendon has 70 cases, while St. Elizabeth has 69 and St. Anne 64. Over in Manchester, 40 positives were recorded. Portland has 34, while 27 cases were recorded in both Hanover and Trelawney. St. Thomas has 26 and St. Mary 16, and Westmoreland reported 5. In the meantime, 114 recoveries were announced by the health authorities over the last 24 hours. That tally is now 15,253. Currently, 366 persons are hospitalized, with 32 patients showing moderate symptoms and 35 patients in a critical state. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
March 15 is observed globally as World Consumer Rights Day. It is a means of raising global awareness about consumer rights and needs. The theme for this year is the COVID-conscious consumer, food security, waste disposal, and money management. Director of Communications at Jamaica's Consumer Affairs Commission, Latoya Halstead, says planned activities will be used to highlight a range of events. Trees are essential for life. They form the core of our ecosystem and are the biggest plants on the planet. Their benefits are endless. They store carbon, provide us with oxygen, stabilize the soil, and is a major habitat for the world's wildlife. If those reasons are not enough, they also provide us with the materials for tools and shelter. In 2019, the government of Jamaica embarked on a national tree planting initiative to plant 3 million trees in 3 years. One tree for the roughly 3 million Jamaicans on the island. Our reporter Marlon Samuels gets to the root of this story.
Forests have been described as the Earth's lungs. The air we breathe is a mixture of gases, including nitrogen and oxygen. We need oxygen to live. Forests keep our atmosphere and climate in balance by absorbing carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. Forests also protect our watersheds, prevent soil erosion, and reduce climate change. Destroying our forests means destroying the air we need to breathe and live. Destroying our forests also means destroying the home of many species, as well as the livelihoods of many. Jamaica is experiencing the impacts of climate change variations, with more intense drought, hurricanes, and other unpredictable weather which have caused untold damage. There is a need to take urgent action. In October 2019, Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness launched a national tree planting program as part of the government's strategic response to climate change. The target is the planting of 3 million timber and ornamental trees over a 3-year period. The initiative being managed by the Forestry Department will see the foresting of 3,000 hectares of land with 2 million timber seedlings. The remaining 1 million timber and ornamental seedlings is being distributed to the public for planting. Minister of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change, Pernell Charles Jr., says youth empowerment and engagement is critical in reducing the impact of climate change.
Today we will be planting a guava tree.
And that's our favorite fruit. And we got this tree from the Forestry Department. So, let's get it done. Some of the tools you need when planting a tree: a fork, you'll need a shovel, a good old machete.
And you need a watering can.
The first thing we're going to do is we dig a hole and make sure that it is deep enough, wide enough to fit the tree. And we're going to keep, of course, our soil so we can backfill the hole. We have planted our guava tree, and we invite the entire Jamaica to plant a tree. Plant a tree,
Protect Jamaica,
and preserve the planet.
For the news on PBCJ, I'm Marlon Samuels.
Toots and the Maytals won the Grammy for the Best Reggae Album at the 63rd edition of the awards show on Sunday, March 14. The band won for their album Got to Be Tough. They previously won a Grammy in 2004. They beat out a strong lineup of nominees, including Buju Banton, Skip Marley, Maxi Priest, as well as the Wailers. The award was granted posthumously to the legendary singer and band leader Frederick Toots Hibbert, who died on September 11, 2020, after a bout of illness. The Grammy is just the latest in a host of awards and accolades of Toots Hibbert's career, which spanned 6 decades. In 2010, Time magazine listed him among the 100 greatest singers of all time. Here now is a throwback to the late singer's life and work.
I want to do the reggae, girl, with you. Yeah, come on to me.
Sometimes referred to as the father of reggae, Frederick Toots Hibbert was a perennial performer up to his hospitalization. He took part in the Jamaica 58 celebrations in August 2020. He entered the festival song competition with Rise Up Jamaicans.
I said, rise up Jamaicans, stand up and take a stand. We are all God's people. Hey, we should live as one.
He formed the group The Maytals in the 1960s. Together, they entered the festival song competition, which launched their career in 1966. They won with their entry called Bam Bam. Frederick Toots Hibbert won the heart and soul of many in Jamaica and across the world with a range of songs including Sweet and Dandy and 5446. As he became recognized locally and abroad for his distinct sounds and performance skills, he worked with many artists, old and new. Throughout his stellar career, he also received many awards and accolades for his achievements in music from various organizations. The government of Jamaica also bestowed the award of Reggae Icon on him through the Ministry of Culture. The music icon passed away at the University Hospital surrounded by his loved ones after fighting a courageous battle on September 11, 2020. Messages of condolences, memories shared, and tributes continue to dominate social media from thousands of colleagues, friends, and politicians. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the passing of the legendary performer represents a loss to the musical landscape. Frederick Toots Hibbert was a national treasure, a distinguished creative, as well as a remarkable musician and individual. And time now for the latest financial market shifts. Gabriel Thompson brings us the business report.
In Friday's trading session, the JSE combined index declined by 723 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall, market activity resulted from trading in 81 stocks, of which 24 advanced, 41 declined, and 16 traded firm. The junior market index declined by 8 points to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica, Berger Pence Jamaica, and Blue Power Group Limited. Stocks declined for 1834 Investments Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company, and Burrito Investments Limited. Trading firm were Caribbean Producers Jamaica, Consolidated Bakers Jamaica, and Epley Limited 8.25%. Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares was the volume leader with 3.4 million units, followed by AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited with over 1 million units, and Sterling Investments Limited with under 900,000 units. In foreign exchange trading for Friday, March 12, the US dollar ended trading at $147.41. The Canadian dollar sold for an average $118.97. The pound sterling traded for $204.05, and the euro ended trading at $177.96. Oil prices rose on Monday, with Brent reaching $70 a barrel as data showed China's economic recovery accelerated at the start of 2021, boosting the energy demand outlook at the world's largest oil importer. Brent crude futures for May were steady at $69.21, down 1 cent a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures for April gained 1 cent to $65.62 a barrel. And that does it for the Monday edition of the Business Report on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
In regional news, the president of the Medical Association of Trinidad and Tobago says the government has its full support to achieve voluntary non-remunerated blood donations. Sunil Lala reports.
Before COVID-19, approximately 22,000 pints of blood was donated annually, which is far below what is required. But in 2020, due to COVID-19, only around 9,000 pints of blood was donated. And while the demand for blood has decreased since the pandemic, President of the Medical Association of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Vishy Bihari, says the quota required is still not being met.
There is a significant reduction, and while there might also be a little bit of a decrease in the demand because of not much elective surgeries being done at the hospital, it still is not meeting the quota that we require as a country. PAHO has said that we require 65,000 pints per year. We have only been collecting 22,000 pints on average.
Dr. Bihari, who is also the vice chairman of SEWA International TT, believes there needs to be more of a push for individuals to donate blood. But he says in the long term, this has to be done without the CHIT system currently in place.
If you are under duress to give blood, then you are likely to say things or answer questions in the screening form that are not 100% correct. And that makes the blood unsafe for redistribution.
On average, Dr. Bihari notes that it costs over 1,000 TT dollars to dispose of blood that cannot be used, in addition to costs such as paying staff and setting up blood drives to collect blood. And while introducing a full voluntary system cannot happen overnight, Dr. Bihari is confident this could be achieved in the years to come.
We continue to do drives like this and build our database, encourage our volunteers to be true, honest, and accurate in giving information, and encouraging other persons to voluntarily donate. Because we feel that we understand it cannot happen overnight, but we feel that once we continue to do our work and build that support, one day we can make blood donation in Trinidad and Tobago 100% voluntary.
Dr. Bihari was speaking to TTT News during Seva TT's first blood drive for 2021 at the Diwali Nagar. He notes that the organization has been holding at least 4 blood drives annually for the past 8 years with the purpose of increasing this country's much-needed blood stock. Sonolala, TTT News.
Over in St. Lucia, a proposal has been made for COVID-19 relief to be provided to the island's transport sector. We hear more in this report.
At the end of the day, it's a negotiating process. It is something that has been ongoing. The chief economist in my ministry has been dealing with that matter in terms of crunching the numbers and doing all of the things that are required with the sector so that in due course we can be in a position to disclose what is being done.
A highly anticipated outcome for the much talked about COVID-19 relief aid for the public transportation sector. Since March 2020, the sector has been clamoring for a reprieve to counterbalance the financial inequality brought on by reduced passenger capacity and added cost of personal protective equipment to ward off the virus. Now, a year later, and following a recent meeting between Minister for Transportation Guy Joseph and NCOPT officials, the council was again sent back to the drawing board.
The minister did request that I have a meeting with the chief economist. We've had that meeting, myself and a few members of the executive. We've had meetings with the chief economist, and what we did was to tailor the proposal.
NCOPT President Godfrey Ferdinand hails the advice and expertise of Chief Economist Mr. Tommy Descott.
One of the good things is that the chief economists have actually submitted it in what you call a cabinet memo proposal, so that the minister can take it to cabinet. So we are hoping that if this goes to cabinet this week, we will get a response from the minister by next week.
In 2020, minibus operators withdrew their services in protest over the economic woes caused by the COVID-19 pandemic protocols, urging the state to step in to address their plight. Ferdinand admits that the bus drivers also have to work to help find middle ground in the prolonged negotiations.
Some of the times, the fault is not necessarily that of anybody else but ourselves, in that when we requesting information from our members, they take a long time to give it. And for you to give a proper proposal, you would have to have the data. And that's sometimes the reason why. But what I can assure members is that we've completed the proposal. It should be going to cabinet by this coming week, and from there we'll hear what the minister has to say.
The NCOPT president says that despite a decline in positive COVID-19 cases, the sector's numbers are still locked in at the 10-person per minibus commuter threshold. The bus lobby continues to await word on a decision on the much-delayed COVID-19 relief package. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.
The Barbados Union of Teachers has recommended that the Common Entrance Examinations, more popularly known as the 11+ exams, be held on July 6. More from Barbados Today.
He made the disclosure during the union's recent Teachers Corner program.
Teachers cannot safely return to schools before September. If we return before September, it's because we simply want to get the class 4s prepared for the exam, which we are hoping would be deferred by at least a week from the date which is set 22nd or so of June. We're looking at probably the 6th of July for the common entrance, but again, that is a recommendation that was sent to the ministry. They have to make the final determination on that. And for the CXCs, we know the exam dates have been set. I think it is July, August, June, July. So again, teachers would go in and be able to assist, and we're risking our lives, let me put it this way, to go in and assist the nation's children, because we would not have had the second vaccine by then. Some teachers might have it, because a few of them would have gone in the first rollout and braved the long lines and so on. But the majority of teachers would have to wait for at least July to have the second dose and to be in a safe position, so to speak, to be able to fully go back to school. So we're looking at proposing a September restart for full face-to-face. And that is contingent, I must say, that is contingent of what develops in this country. Because if we go into a third wave, then September 2 would be obviously not appropriate or suitable to return.
Shepherd said a recommendation was also made for protective screens to be placed at the desks of teachers, similar to those erected at businesses across the country.
We are of the view, or teachers are of the view, that protective screens should be erected and made available at least at the teacher's desk for when students are coming to the teacher for that one-on-one contact, etc. We notice that that is the standard now in places of business in Barbados, and schools being a similar sort of a place of business as well. We thought that teachers should have those protective barriers. Of course, we know that teachers cannot teach from behind a screen unless it is online teaching. And teachers would have to move through the classroom from time to time. But at least while the teacher is doing that, the teacher is aware of who he's going to, who she's going to, and the contact that is to be made. If the teacher is at the desk, there are times when children approach the desk without your knowledge. And we know that particularly in the younger students, those students come with minor colds and so on, and they touch teachers. So the protective screen, we believe, should be a priority for teachers, so that at least at some point during the course of the day you can resort to a safe place where you can feel not as exposed and not at risk, so to speak.
In sports, we are in the creases with cricket. West Indies defeated Sri Lanka by 5 wickets in the third one-day international at the Vivian Richards Cricket Stadium in Antigua. Sri Lanka posted 274 for 6 off 50 overs, with top scorer Wanindu Hasaranga, who struck an unbeaten 80 not out. Akil Hussain was the pick of the bowlers, grabbing 3 for 33. The Windies put up 276 for 5 or 48.3 overs. Batsman Darren Bravo struck a ton, posting 102 runs on the board. He was supported by Shai Hope, 64, and Karen Pollard, who made 53 not out. Suranga Lakmal was the top bowler for the regional team with 2 wickets for 56. And that's our package. Join us again tomorrow for more news and sports right here on PBCJ, the People's Station.